Friday. Welcome to
Yep,
Friday. Woo! We made it.
almost.
Almost. Good morning.
Good morning.
TGIF.
EGIF.
That's
Remember
right.
that restaurant?
Good morning,
Yeah, that
all.
was. I used to go there. I would eat their potato skins like for a meal. They were awesome.
Yeah. I remember they had one in Birmingham off of 280.
Yeah.
And I remember we went there for they had those dances in high school, and that was high end. That's where we took our dates, is
Oh, the
TGI.
TGIF.
Yeah. It was
Yeah, there
like
you go.
just
Yeah,
step
they
up
had
from
like this.
McDonald's.
Yeah, it was one of my favorite places. I don't know if there's any around anymore around here, but
I think
uh,
they're out of business.
yeah, well, it's a lot of
Yeah.
things anyway.
All right.
Okay, let's see what we got here. Let's see if I can share. I think I can. There it is.
Is Sharon?
Yep.
Okay.
Um, so it's Friday, and next week Jan's dad passed away on Wednesday, so I'm going to be at his funeral on Monday, so I won't be on the morning edge, but we'll have a special guest to be named later on Monday, co-host for Trent, and we're looking forward to that. But I'll be for the first time. I won't be in the morning edge, but family comes first, and I'll take care of that. And I'll be back on Tuesday, but Trent will be there with our special guest co-host to be named later.
There we go.
So anyway, that's what we're going to do for Monday. It's Friday. Again, Friday, if you're trading, you got weekend risk on your trade. So keep that in mind. Stocks booked higher yesterday. They were lower to start out, but Trump came out, said Israel and Lebanon agreed to a ceasefire, and then the stocks turned higher. Then he followed up and said he didn't think he needed an extension of the 10-day ceasefire because Iran is going to agree to get rid of their nuclear and agree to everything that they weren't going to agree to. That hasn't been confirmed by Iran yet. So, and then he said that it was toward the end of the day that if they don't, the bombing would begin again. And then at the end of the day, oil prices went up, as you saw, and stocks kind of came down, but we still closed up 115 on the Dow, 18 on the S&P. So you're not like zooming up. We're at all-time highs in the S&P and the Nasdaq. But the interesting thing is, you look at the market breadth, and the advancers are 48.7%. The decliners were 48%. So it's not a broad-based. We look at the stock market, it's like it's all the way up. It's really caused by the Mag sevens have really done well, and just 30% of the Nasdaq yesterday was two stocks, Microsoft and Nvidia, that brought that up 86 points. So just remember, it's not broadly based yet. We'll go through some of the charts. What else we got? Mm-hmm. The embargo is still on, or the blockade, or what do you call it? And it does have an effect throughout the world. It's having an effect on fertilizer prices, having an effect on gas prices. It's going to go through the food system. Yesterday, the IEA leader said Europe has maybe 6 weeks of jet fuel left, which isn't good. But even if we opened up the straits today, it would take a while for that material to move through the system, get loaded up. So we're going to have some waves, but here we are, all-time highs, just like the war's over. Nothing happened. It's just the strangest thing I've ever seen. And again, I go back to the market structure is still not back to where it should be. We talked about Bird yesterday. It was up, 600%. Yesterday, it dropped back down. I'll show you that chart. Spirit Airlines is reporting going to file bankruptcy one more time this week. They keep trying to file for bankruptcy. Netflix came out, revenue 12.3 billion, expected 12.2, EPS $1.23 versus 76. However, the earnings forecast came out at 78 cents and it was expected 84 cents, and that was pre-market or last night. And after that, the stocks were down 9%. I think the last time I looked, they're down 10%. So our bull flag has ended on that, and I'll show you that chart. And then yesterday, I was just looking at some unnamed bank or financial institution did tap the repo market for about $10.5 billion yesterday. So interesting to watch that and see if we see any more of that come down the pipe. Today, with the war over and everything good, and people have jobs and there's nothing to worry about, and the Dow is up 345 in pre-market. It has to catch up a little bit. It hasn't reached its all-time high. I think we're over 50,000, but we're not too far away. especially when you go up 324 points a day. S&P, NASDAQ all up. The Iran war should be ending pretty soon, according to Donald Trump. Crypto, really good on crypto. Bitcoin up, Ethereum up. Look at gold. Gold's up a tad, and silver's up a little bit. Oil's down. Okay, so $89, $86. So it's interesting how we still have no oil really going through the straits in any meaningful manner, and we see these oil prices just head down. Like next Tuesday, it'll be nice to. I'm going to go see if my prices went down for gas. I'll put a report on that. But again, down. And let's look at our bonds here. 10 years down a little bit. So go forward. Got a lot of stuff to go through here real quick. Share. There we go. Heat map yesterday. You look for the green and real estate. Real estate's really taken off. Utilities, energy. Yesterday, of course, this will be down today, at least in the morning. We got some red in medical devices and healthcare, some in asset management, BlackRock, KKA, Morgan Stanley, Schwab. Schwab came out with their earnings yesterday. And again, you see a lot of these companies that do hit earnings, but their guidance is off, just like Netflix, and that just kills them. You can have that knocked out of the park earnings. We had ASML came out with earnings. I think the TSM came out with earnings. We'll look at those charts, and those went down yesterday also. Here was a close, new record yesterday. NASDAQ notches longest winning streak, again, up on the hopes of the war ending. And then this was towards the end of the day, $100. This was, again, this is how crazy the market is. Last night there was $100. Now we're at 86. Okay, that's just not a market structure that's normal, going up and down. And it goes back to, in the markets, Trent talks about a lot, liquidity. We look at the S&P, again, we're between these two channels. Here's your lower support, upper channel, which is resistance. This was the Liberation Day. And you can see, everyone's comparing what we did today to Liberation Day, but that was at the bottom of the channel. And we went all the way to the top of the channel and hit here. We haven't hit yet. This one only went down to about halfway through the channel and came back up. So we might not have the same percentage up if this channel maintains what it has been and, hits the top and then comes back down. But we'll see what happens. But this has been a really strong channel back 2018. A little bit closer, you see we did get above. There's our high, and we did get above our highs, for a couple of days. But we have about another 1.5% maybe to the top of this channel. We'll see if we hit that and can break through. And I'll show you another chart. When you break through it, sometimes it doesn't stick. This is the NASDAQ. Again, nice run up on the NASDAQ. These, watch these gaps, especially in indices, usually fill 90%, 90+% of the time. This will come back and fill. And we're starting to, look like we're losing just a little steam. But today, with this news coming out that the war is over and everything's good, and we're going to negotiate, and Iran's going to give up everything, and we're going to have oil back going, everything's going to be fine. So again, a lot of hopium and hype in this. We'll see if it lasts through the day. And again, we have the weekend. They haven't had negotiations. I don't even know if they've scheduled them. They're trying to for the weekend. I'm not sure they're even there yet. Dow Jones, again, we have a long way to go before we hit the top, which is way back here. But today is going to help a little bit. But again, here's your resistance level, probably around 49,250, some in that area on Dow Jones. But, nice up. This one didn't have such a gap on Dow Jones. And this is interesting, big old candle, but the gap wasn't there. Of course, it's not technology. And the mags are really, moving this market up more than anything else. Here's IWM, and you can see, we had this yesterday. I said, here's your top, and then here's your upper level of your ascending wedge, and we hit. I said it's going to hit right there, and it's going to have good resistance, and right there is where we hit. Be interesting to see if we pop through this today. But these channels are amazing, and I see it. The algorithms see it. You can see it. Everybody sees it. Here's your RSP. Again, here's our ascending line of support and resistance now. And again, this one could do the same thing. Here's your tops. It's hard to get past the tops, but they're aligning right over here. And if you look, that it might actually hit, just like we just saw in the IWM. The mags, for investment potentially now. You're over the 50, you're over the 200. You've got over this long-term, this kind of resistance trend. We're over that now, and you do have some resistance up here about, what is that, $67 right here on this top, but we have a ways to go for the total top. But, some technicians are going to look at that and say, okay, we're above 200, 2 days in a row, 3 days in a row. That's enough for me to kind of start getting back into the MAGS. NVIDIA, again, right up here, this was our resistance level right here on this earnings where we topped. You can see that's about where we stopped for the last 2 days on NVIDIA. Try to get up, try to get up. If we do get up, the next levels are level of support and resistance long term up here above 208, 210, some in that area, but we've got to get past this yet on NVIDIA. Apple finally, the other day blew past this 50. Came back up, and yesterday came right back to the support level. So a little bit on Apple, lots of the mags went up yesterday. Apple was not one of them. Amazon, again, here's your level of resistance we've seen here. Try to get up, but you had this resistance trend. We did break through that after 2 days, and that's right where we've been 3 days in a row, or just a little over 249 on that resistance on Amazon. Meta. Almost to the 200. We got what do we got? 3 mags that are below the 200, and this one's just barely below. But again, it's hard to get past that. We did here on earnings for about 4 days and drop back down. We'll see if Meta can blow through that today, and then we'll wait and see if we get a sustainable bounce back and up. And then again, there's your 200, and there might be where you want to, if you're thinking about getting in on investables, using the 200, which is a strong line of support. If you get on top of it, a lot of people will do that. Microsoft, again, under the 200. There's some pretty big moves in Microsoft. This one kind of a hammer. Again, right up here on this level of resistance. We did get above the 50, still under the 200 on Microsoft. Tesla, again, here's another one that's under. These 3 were under. This was just barely under. We got right up to the 50, and that's where we closed above, below. As you see, got the 50 and the 200 to get by 2 big levels of resistance, and if we can get by that, we have some green space here. Again, gets above it, retest it, 3 days up above. There's going to be a lot of people, and programs buying as that passes the 200, if it does pass it. Again, lots of support here, resistance. We'll see what happens. Palantir under the 200, and it tried to get above the 50 and just couldn't. And again, this has been a pretty strong level of resistance for Palantir. This 50 back here along this line did get above it, and then here we are again. So we'll see on Palantir. And then what's this? Oh, I went to NVIDIA. Let's see. Oh, there's Netflix. Okay, so Netflix, we had this this bull flag, and it broke out, got above this long-term level of kind of resistance that we've been under. And today it's going to be down 10%. It looks like at the open, so we'll drop back down over the 200, under the 200 probably. And I like to get above it, see if it tests, and see if there's a third day. So I like at least 3 days above the 200 to make sure it's going to stay. And in this case, it's probably not. And again, I always try to, when I trade, my personal trading plan says, if I was in this trade, I would exit prior to earnings, and that would have been a good thing to do yesterday on Netflix. Let's see. XLRE. Okay, go back here. Sorry about that. XLI. I'm going to go through the sectors real quick. XLI, again, this is industrials, went up, and we're just having trouble on this level of resistance. And again, we've come back down. We've tapped on the 50. So between 50 and resistance, kind of in a sideways pattern in industrials. Here's your real estate. Real estate's really taken off, and here you have your highs up here, 44-ish. If we're going to go up and try to test that, if we blow through that, then we're in price discovery. But again, this is just amazing in 2 weeks, 10 days to see this kind of a movement, green, all the way up. At some point, it's going to run out of the momentum, but right now, it's been on fire. But we do have these gaps that need to be filled too. So real estate. Here's your material sector came up again. These resistance and support lines. So here you see it's support. Here it's resistance, and again looks like kind of like real estate or the industrials, it's right between the 50 and the upper resistance level. Here's your communication sector. Of course, we got three mags in this, so zooming up, did get past this level of pretty good, support, resistance came down, and here we are again. So again, we get up there. Here's your all-time highs, and then we'd be in price discovery. But this is quite a step up, in a short period of time, to keep that momentum going. And really, what's changed in the economy, other than there might be a ceasefire continuing an agreement in Iran, which hasn't happened yet. So a lot of this market's really on hopium at this point. Here's your discretionaries, consumer discretionaries, right up to resistance, and that's where we stopped and came back down. That was at about 118.58. Now we have some room to go up, but until we get past that level, we did get above the 200. So another one that's gone above the 200. I want to see one more day above the 200 and try to get past that level of resistance. Here's your XLP, consumer staples, just right flat, but right on support. So we got a good level of support here, building a base. And we'll see if we can get a little momentum on staples. But you look at staples, food and things that you actually need, and then you think ahead. The market's thinking ahead and saying, inflation is going to come. All this is going to get higher because of this oil deal. And they're like, well, how much profit are they going to raise prices, or are they going to take the hit on margins? And again, here's this bear flag pattern, and usually they break down. So I'd expect it, maybe to break through that level. XLU, again, here's your bear flag pattern, went up and back down, but right on the 50. So again, these are good levels of support and resistance, the 50 and the 200 here. But if we break down on that, we'll be heading back down to about what do we got here? 44.50, and then the 200 on XLU utilities. XLV healthcare, again, bear pennant, back down, but holding on the 200. So 200 is a good level. You get above it, it's a good level of support, and that's why you want to have a couple of days. We broke through here, 1, 2, 3, and stayed above it. So we don't want to break down below that. But all the joy that we've got to get back above these 200s, we're right back on it in some of these. So we're seeing it kind of level, maybe slow down a little bit. We'll see what happens today. Here's your technology sector. Again, mostly driven by either semis or the mags right now, but right up, here's your high. Okay, we're just getting up there. I want to see if it bumps and comes back down like we've done before. If we can get above it, retest, and continue on. I don't know, but we'll know here in a day or two. Financials. We talked about financials coming back, and here we are. This pattern down, but again, it looks like a bear flagish pattern. And again, we're right up on the 200. We haven't got past that. This is, I believe, the only one that's below the 200 now is the XLF. And then here's your XLE again, kind of a down, but here we for 4 days right on the 50, and then we got below it, came back and retested it. I'd expect it to head back down today, especially we're looking at oil in the $80 range. So yeah, I would imagine that this is going to break down even further below the 50. Here's your semiconductors. Again, we're right along this level of resistance, and that's where we've hit the last 3 days, 1, 2, 3. So these trend lines are kind of amazing, long term, how the market sees it and how, it takes a while or some kind of effort to move past these, but we haven't yet in semiconductors. TSM earnings came out, really good earnings. What happened? Came back down right to the 9. Okay, off this level of resistance, off that level of resistance. We've been there before. So even the good earnings, are not moving some of these stocks back up. And here's ASML, good earnings out, and here where we dropped below the 9, right above the 50. So hopefully we don't drop below that 50 on ASML. So start to see a little bit of the cheeks in some of the S&P armor, if you say. Even you're looking at software, the IGV, we talked about software. And, look at this one. It's popped above the 50. It's above the 9, above the 20, still below the 200. Kind of sideways. I want to see these Bollingers kind of separate and diverge. But the oscillators are starting to separate and look pretty good. So maybe software has hit the bottom. Time will tell on that. We look at some stocks on the move. And again, we had Blackstone yesterday we looked at right at this moment, and it came back right to, it was up. It came back right to the Bollinger Band. So the trend is still up on Blackstone. You've got NWSA we looked at yesterday, right along the upward trend line, or not trend line, Bollinger Band. A watch for resistance right above it. We've got Capital One, which came back inside the Bollinger Band. You kind of expect it. You are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 above it. And that's really kind of rare to go 6 or more than 5. So it did come back in. Still upward trend on Capital One. So you come back in there and maybe you get 2 more days sideways, and then you see it head back up. But you've got good resistance at the 200 and the intermediate resistance level. Fox A, another one we were watching. I said, I want to see if it gets past that 200. It did, and it kept rolling. So this is a good pattern, percentage-wise, probability-wise, and we'll see what Fox say. But you've got some room to run. Closed at 64.52. The resistance is at 7301. You can see why. You might have a little bit right in this area when you come across right in the middle, but Fox A might be something you want to consider. Again, it's Friday in front of a weekend. Consider weekend risk. Disney, another stock on a move. We looked at this yesterday, 3 days above the 50. So that's a good indicator, just like if it was above the 200. You got some room to roll here. You might have a little bit of resistance. You just go back and you take a look and you see where you can just eyeball it, or you can use the program and move the line where the sell orders are. And I showed you I do that yesterday and the day before. TMO was one we were watching, and here's one that kind of faked us. It got above it and then came back down. So you want to test it and then another day up. So this one we wouldn't have got into because it didn't meet the criteria. Microsoft, another one we said, it's on the move. Look at that go right up on the Bollinger Band. Only 2 out, so we could see that continue up also. We talked about railroads and Norfolk Southern. Norfolk Southern had to get past the 50. Yesterday it did. I want to see it maintain that and then another day up. But real hard level of resistance at 317, but we closed at 302. So you got $14 to the upside. That's your reward, your risk. It's going to be back down probably to the 50 unless some news comes out and just trashes the stock that we don't know about. Nike is potential. I mean, it's had horrible earnings, horrible guidance, but sometimes the valuations get such, and we'll watch it. It's not quite there yet. I want to see the oscillators move a little higher. I want to see the RSI go up, but on the watch list. UNH, United Health, 3 days above the 200. I'm not quite convinced that this is still moving up. I mean, it's sideways. I want to see some momentum to the upside, but you have resistance just a little bit above it. But I look for these that get on the 200. We've been watching the 50, the amount of stocks that it's almost 60% above the 50 now, and we're about 50% above the 200. So we're watching a lot of this where you can potentially make money, on the 200. IBM, a little bit of a bump up, but you can get past that 50, bounce off of it. We might have some room at IBM. Keep it on your watch list. Skywork Network Solutions. Again, we got above the 50 1 day, 2 days. I'd like to see a third day. If we get that, our next resistance will probably be here at these tops. And then right at the 200. So one more day, if we see this go up, Skyworks could have some room to run too. Again, very news driven. If the war doesn't end and we end up bombing again, all this could just be for naught. But that's what the technicals tell us as we're going right now. We're seeing it move up. AJG, Arthur J. Gallagher, again, kind of over the 50, over the 20, over the 9. In a slow rise up. So I kind of like these kind of stocks that just kind of move slowly up. And you can be in for a long time as long as some news doesn't come out and take you out. But that's always possible. That's why we put stops in once we take a trade. MasterCard, again, we were watching this sideways, moved up. It's right on support. Just keep watching. Not quite there yet. One more day at least over the 50 because we've had this 50 before. I couldn't get past it. Visa, the same thing, 2 days over. Here's Bird. Okay, Bird is the word. Big old, 600% up. And then we ended up closing down about 36% back down on Bird. When you look at Bird, I'll take a shot of it here later. I'll show you why this will probably continue to go down. Again, it was a shoe company that says we're going to be an AI company, and this is what happens. Amazing. I'm going to go over to the Bitcoin chart here. Get out of that. Okay, got some time here. Get into this, and you can see we're at 76,000. We made it past that 75. levels. So 75 and the next level is 80 if we stay above the 75. So we got a little bit of a bid on Bitcoin, and that's kind of what we're looking at, 75 to 80, which would get us right in this level. If we get above that, we could hit 85, which is up here. And this is going to be a real tough level because there's a lot of, a lot of history of support and resistance on that level. And that may be where, we come up and when we take a breather, if we can get to there. But again, nice trend on Bitcoin, all the way up. But I expect it to come up and hit and then take some breather off if it gets to 85, a little bit of a breather. So remember, these markets go all night long and all during the weekend. So if anything happens, Bitcoin and the crypto will be the first ones to get hit. A couple others in there that are affected by Bitcoin. BTM is Bitcoin Depot. You're seeing a nice run on that. It's above the 9, above the 20, and it popped above the 50. So again, Bitcoin Depot, it's all tied to Bitcoin price, but you're starting to see some of these go up. So you're going to see some traders get in, especially above the 50, and start entering some positions here. And you just kind of watch where your next level of support and resistance would be, which would be around $7 on the top side. So you're at 505 right now. So maybe you want to consider that. It's really up to your trading plan. IBIT is the Bitcoin ETF. Above the 9, 20, 50. 50 is rolling over. Again, this connected to the price of Bitcoin, and you have a little bit of sell orders at 44.04 at this point. And then I'll show you here again. We're above and we're tight. We go to medium. The second level would be 45.36, and then the next level after that would be 46.67. And then MicroStrategy. As of course, just a couple days ago, they bought $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. He is now he's just a little bit under what BlackRock is as the leading holder of Bitcoin. So he's Michael Saylor is getting really close to becoming the Bitcoin king. Again, we're seeing this roll up a little bit, but right above we have a lot of levels of resistance. Around the 158.45 level. So be aware of that on that. And then Coinbase is another one. Just where the money's starting to move in. Look at that. Got above the 3 days in a row above the 50, the 9, the 20, all here. Watch your Bollinger Band. You're going to have some sells. You can see it comes back. This is about where you're going to see the first level of small resistance at 209.31. But, some of these have been beaten down enough that there's some room to run. And that's what I'm trying to show you on these charts. And then the last one, I want to go back to Bird. So here's Bird. Okay, so let's see if I put a chart on it. No, I didn't. So if I was to take Bird and where it topped out here, okay, and it topped out, 24 and change. I'm just going to draw a line right there. Okay, come on. I'm going to put it right there. And then I'm going to, unfortunately, it's right on that. Okay, here we go. I'm going to make it yellow. And I'm going to make it thick. So you look at Bird, and why do I think this will continue to go down, other than it's kind of a silly deal that a shoe company is going to be an AI company. Not that it's bad, but you go back 5 years. Okay, and here we are. Okay, and here's your line. I mean, it looks big on the daily chart. 5 years. So basically everything above this line, all these people here have been in it for a long time. And so you've got all this inventory above it. And if you held on to this thing and you had this little bit of spike, you're going to be selling out just to try to get some money back. Because I don't think it's ever going to go back to, at least in the near future, to where it was over here at $675 or whatever that is, $600, down to 1091. So again, here's your line. Here's where we are. Everything above that line basically is underwater. So that you got a majority of your shares are underwater, and that's why you see when you get a nice spike up like this, all these guys in here are like, I'm getting out, especially these guys. So anyway, that's why I think it's probably going to head down. So anyway, weekend risk, be careful. Again, I'll be gone on Monday. We'll have a special guest host to be named on Monday. You'll be pleasantly surprised. And Trent, what do you got going today?
Well, today is another monthly option expiration month. or day. April options expire today. There's roughly $1.9 trillion that represents the S&P 500 and SPY. It'll expire today. So, like we've talked about in the past, when uh, when options expire, that suppression of volatility goes away, and so you start to see more organic price discovery happen the week after option expiration. So next week we should anticipate more volatility, potential expansion. It could go lower. Volatility could go lower. It could go higher. Today it's sitting at 1743 is where it closed out at yesterday, or is sitting today right now, Friday the 17th. But the positive element that I'm seeing is that if we go out 1 month on volatility, so VX1, it is higher than present month. Then 2 months out, you're higher there as well. And at 3 months, you're about equal. So think of it as it's sloping up. And that is a positive thing. And that's called contango, where it goes up. Now, when it goes down, that's backwardization. And that's what we saw back here in the beginnings of or end of February into March. And that's where March, when we were volatility was up in the chop bucket and at some times in the F bucket. So that's what we don't want to see in a bullish environment. So right now, there's a lot of positiveness to this market. But the way to think about it is this is the SPX here, or SPY, excuse me, the S&P 500 ETF. And this is, if I look at, think about the volatility charts that I showed you, this was when back here on March 30th, this is when the VIX was in the F bucket and chop bucket, okay? Well, as the VIX came down and the front running months from there, the 1 month ahead and the 2 month and 3 month ahead started to slope down, this is where we saw that turn. Well, right now we're in this area where we're in a positive gamma area. So we're in the bull side of the bull bear fight line, which means your volatility is being suppressed. So as the market goes up, the S&P 500 goes up towards the biggest level right now is 710 on the SPY as a resistance level. They're selling into this, so they're selling calls into it, and they're buying calls below it. So it suppresses, it hedges their books of business, they being market makers or liquidity providers. And it creates a neutral kind of environment because that's what they want. They want to be delta neutral. But the challenge is there's this support level down here at 660. So we're now approaching this 710, 705, 710 area. And as options expire this week or today, we should anticipate this resetting of this blue line here, this bull bear fight line, and we could see that move up or move higher. And we could quickly go into a negative gamma or a bear side of the bull bear fight line. Well, if we do that, the market makers or liquidity providers switch up their game. They start to sell into when the S&P sells off, and they buy into when the S&P moves higher. So they go in that direction. We don't want to be in a negative gamma environment because if we're long only investors, you get in a negative environment and we see this kind of thing happen that we saw back at the beginning of February into March. Here's the trick. This move from Tuesday, April 7th to Wednesday, April 8th, this was a gap up, crossed over the 200, minus the 62 or 62 period, but the 50, it closed above the 50. It was up over 2% on that day. And historically, it's always worked this way, is that you will see a retracement at some point that will fill this gap. So it potentially, because there is not that suppression of the options market next week because of the new reset that we will see next week in the options market, We could see volatility spike again. We could see a move back down to fill this gap. Now, I anticipate that'll happen because history is pretty much 100% of the time has done it. And we as human beings are habit forming kind of people or species, and we most likely will fill this. So we likely, and the market is, or market makers or liquidity providers are anticipating 660 on the SPY as the support level. So I'm looking at this going, the market is basically renting this upside into 710 and they're buying the downside protection. So right now, downside protection is cheaper than it was when it was down here. But in that switch, the contrarian kind of thinking could really kick in next week or the week after. So keep that in mind as we go into the weekend. You look at the RSI on SPY, we're at 69.89. The MACD is pretty maxing out here at this level. So from my perspective, I look at this as a very overbought environment with a low liquidity supply. Like I've talked about in the past couple of weeks, we have seen a basically 80% decline in liquidity since the beginning of the year, which means that there's not as many dollars or buyers or sellers in the market versus at the first of the year. So keep that in mind. This is still a supply and demand game. At the end of the day, if there is a lack of supply of buyers or sellers of whatever position you're taking on a buy or sell side of things, that means that bid-ask spread is going to widen, and that's when things can break loose in a north or south manner. So keep that in mind as we go in there. Let's look at the dollar. The dollar is falling pretty drastically this morning, which is good for equity markets. So if I relate this to the SPY, the dollar falls, SPY goes higher. So we look to open up at 708, $708 on the SPY, and the dollar is presently down 53 basis points, which is a big thing when it comes to the dollar. So that's a positive on that side of things. So money is leaving the dollar, buying equities in a sense. So we're seeing that opposite correlation. That's what we want that side of that to happen. Brent crude is way down this morning, down 9.12% right now, so at $90.33. WTI, our light crude, is at 82.52, down 12%. So we're seeing that floor that possibly was holding up crude is going away. Now there are options that expire pre-market today, and then there's options that will expire at the end of the day. So keep that in mind. And remember that 1.9 trillion that is representing SPY and SPX is only representing SPY and SPX. There's all those other options out there that will expire as well. So individual options on like stocks or futures or stock options on futures. I mean, it gets a little wacky, but keep in mind that. And I think let's see, just check out the 10-year. 10-year is at making a move. It's the yield has fallen to 1.97%, which is a big deal in the bond world. And you're seeing that opposite correlation. When yields go down, equities typically go up. And when yields go up, equities go down. So we can see that correlation here. This is an inverted, the 10-year U.S. Treasury yield here is inverted on the bottom half of this. So in a sense, money is leaving risk off and going to risk on, which is positive. But remember, there's underlying factors, leverage. There is short sellers covering their short squeezes or margin calls. So you're going to see. So as we get into later in the day, keep that in mind. Later in the day, we could see some sizable volatility, and we could see a retracement. So just remember, they say, the first half hour of the day is when the kiddies are in the kiddie pool. But once after you get past that first 30 minutes, 45 minutes, That's when the adults go in for the adult swim, and that's when things really get serious. So
Is it
that's
today?
what I got.
Isn't options expiration today?
Yeah, that's what I was just talking about.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I left for a second. Can you?
Oh, no worries. No, no, no,
Okay.
no worries. No, but
Okay.
that's the big thing today, because
Okay.
you lose that hedging that liquidity providers provide, and that's that suppression of volatility, and that's what we've seen really since the beginning of the month. March, we saw volatility expand. We saw the selling, vol traders, because of that forward months in volatility, they started selling into it or buying into it, which accelerated volatility into the chop and F bucket. Now they're basically buying, or they're selling into it, suppressing volatility down. So if we see volatility switch up, understand their liquidity providers are basically pushing that volatility to hedge out their books. So right now, I mean, all is well in the world, but that all can change in a matter of a
Just
tweet.
remember, a lot of this is because Trump's out there saying this is over, it's good, we're good friends now, and blah blah blah. And Iran has not confirmed any of this, and they haven't even scheduled when the meetings are going to be. So
Yeah,
and it's the weekend, so just remember all that.
I think that's the biggest thing is you hear one side of a two-sided story, and of course he wants it over with. He's probably getting a lot of heat about this right now.
I thought it
And
was. I think it's interesting that they made a big deal about the ceasefire between Lebanon and Israel. Lebanon's not firing on Israel; it's Hezbollah, and I don't think Lebanon has any control over Hezbollah. Uh, it's interesting if that'll hold. I thought I saw some rockets late last night on the news going into Israel from Lebanon. So I don't know. We'll see. I mean,
yeah,
it's again, it's the strangest thing just to watch
yeah.
this fill out. So
I th-
anyway,
I think the biggest thing I focus on is how much supply is in the system. And when supply is thin, markets will move in very erratic ways. It's very volatile.
right,
Um,
and
and
this oil situation isn't going to be like turn the light switch on, we're all back to
no,
normal again. Because
well,
if they only have 6 weeks of jet fuel in Europe, that's going to take forever to get, because that oil's got to go out, be refined, get transported. It's going to be a while,
yeah, and I
my
think that's the
opinion.
thing. Like I pointed out yesterday, is that there's a what is it? We're missing basically 300 million barrels of oil on a monthly basis because of this war. And they have to produce an additional 10 to 12 million barrels of oil a day just to get back to even. Um, I don't, the longer this continues, I think it puts you, I mean, if they at the end of the month stopped all this and everybody went back to normal, I mean, we're looking at probably October, November before
At
we get
least.
normalized, at least,
Yeah.
as long as nobody flinches, you know?
And how long is this going to take? Because it's just entering the economy, this inflation that's going to hit,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, these number, like, my CPI projections have us at 3.7.
I think
Um,
that's low. I think that'll be low.
well, I do too. And a lot of that it's in relation to oil pricing. But when those numbers continue to drip in, and reality starts to really hit, I think that's really when things, bottom out, or, potentially bottom out. But no, I look at where we're at in comparison to, say, a year ago, and I go, this is, a bit of a false, kind of hope, because I think about just, you go over to a country who historically, I was watching something where they went back to Clinton administration and about how he spoke about Iran being a terrorist, or, country. Went Clinton, Bush, Obama, Biden, Trump. Everybody is saying this. Well, and finally somebody has taken massive action. Do you think these guys are going to lay down and go, oh, okay? No, no.
Yeah. I,
I honestly, every morning I just wake up waiting for the news headline saying somebody did something in the United States in a negative way.
Yeah, I hope not, but
Same
I
here.
hear you. But when you think back to January and February, when I was showing you the charts, I said we're rolling, and that was before the war, you know.
Hmm.
And now all of a sudden, we kind of forgot about those things. And the things that were worrying us were jobs and the economy and inflation and private credit and all that stuff that we don't talk about now. Well, once
Yeah.
this gets over, we don't talk about what Trump says about the war or whatever. Those are going to come back in, I believe, and the
Oh, yeah,
reality will hit.
100%. None of that changed.
No, it did not. So that's
I
why I'm a
mean,
little leery that we've kind of shot up 10 days or 11 days and 11%.
yeah.
Just unsustainable in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think if a lot of people on this call, I believe, have made a lot of money in the last 10, 12 days.
I hope so.
That and I mean people are boasting about it, which is cool, and I'm happy. Don't lose it.
Yeah.
I mean, it can go higher, and that's I was thinking about this yesterday. I'm like, I was referred to as a pessimist by somebody recently, and I was like, I'm not a pessimist. I'm a realist. I look at things and how they behave mechanically in human behavior. And I look at this and you look at the charts of SPY and how we closed out yesterday versus the day before versus the day before versus the day before. The candle expansion has gotten smaller and smaller and smaller,
Oh,
which means
and
it's
again,
exhausted.
we'll look at advances versus decliners, and they're even. It's not like everybody's going up.
Yeah.
It's even. So
Yeah.
again, just watch those things and don't get caught up in the daily hope, but go spread out a little bit and look back and to the left. And I think Brian brought up ARM, and I think it's an interesting chart of what we're just talking about. And ARM again is a nice run up, but right here it hit resistance, and we've hit that before on these big topping tail candles. You know what happens usually on topping tails, you see what happens. And here we are again yesterday. So let's back out a little bit and look to the left. Okay. We've been
Yeah.
here before. This is June of 25. This is uh this is July of 25. Then we got a little bit above it. What happened? Topping tail down, topping tail down. And we've been all the way down. And we came back up, topping tail down, all the way back up, topping tail down. So when you see it here, I mean, it doesn't mean you can't get past it. We did get past it here, but drop back down. What's gonna be the catalyst to move this up and continue to move up in this environment? And then you go back and you just say that is a pretty good level of resistance. Let me go back 2 years and see if it even goes further. Now here's 2 years. So here, we did get a big candle here and then down, got above it again and then down, topping tail and then down. Here, boom. I even circled that there, topping tail way back there. Okay, that
Yeah.
was October of 24. I circled that. So again, this is you might get a little bit above it, but now look at this topping tail here. This is 2024. So I look at the charts and I like seeing these big moves up, but that's a pretty good level of resistance where we're at right now. So I had to look at that chart and say, do I want to buy, you know,
I mean,
at a technical resistance level right now?
I
And
mean,
that's
the
the decision.
probability is it will
Yeah,
go back down.
that's the decision that you have to make on your own. But
Yeah.
always go back and look and see, what is the history? Because the market remembers the history. We are
Yeah.
above the 200, but that's going to be a tough level, on ARM. So anyway,
Yeah.
that's
Well, and
kind of
it's a question of if that has been the historical behavior of that stock to hit that level and then pull back, what has to change in its makeup to get higher, like fundamentally? Um, what does the market conditions have to be for it to go higher? I think that's where it gets tough. That takes you beyond the chart. That takes you into if this happens, therefore this is going to happen. Well, thing that hasn't happened in since 24, that's the sort of the gospel of that stock is chances are that's the channel it will trade in until that thing, whatever it is and whatever you discover it to be, will push it higher. I think that that's one of the things to think about is go beyond the fundamentals, go beyond the charts, go back beyond the macro, go what would cause this stock to light up, in a good positive way.
Yeah.
Um, and there may be nothing. I mean, it may be so far fetched out there, it won't, which gives you the ability to then trade it on a longer, on a cycle, as it ups and downs.
Let's see. Steve says, "Hey, NAVW went up yesterday and we missed it." Well, how did we miss that one? Let me go take a look at this shit. I think he's being facetious, but I don't even know what this is, nor would it even be on my tracker. It's next. What is it? Next something equity warrant expires 28th October 2026. So, yeah, that had a nice run up yesterday, but I have no clue what it is. Uh, and the
All
volume
right.
was only 230,000 yesterday, and the day before was 16,000 and 11,000. So interesting. How you found this one, Steve? I have no clue.
Check out
Anyway.
RF, my Regions Bank
Oh,
play
that's
there.
earnings today, right? Earnings.
Yeah, they came out.
Let's
According to
take a
Trading
look
Views,
here.
they surprised on the earnings side by 3.85%, but they disappointed on the revenue side by a negative 2.16%.
Yeah. Look,
Um,
look where we were the last time you had earnings, right where we are today.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
58 cents per share. What was it this time?
Sorry, hold on. Earnings were 62 cents.
So a little bit up. Look at this line of resistance, though. Look at this. Boom, 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 all the way across. Support,
Yeah,
resistance, resistance. Um, it's
yeah,
just amazing me that you go back and it's not 100%, but the probabilities are there, 60, 70%. You watch that, and that can help you decide when to get in or when to get out. I do like it's above the 200. I do like it's above the 50. We'll see where it goes. What's it? Where's it at in pre-market? Did you say?
28.17 versus
Oh,
it's
so it's
close
up.
as it's up. But like you and I always say, it isn't where it opens, it's where it closes.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know, we'll see. Right now it's paying a dividend of
Oh, yeah.
3.74%.
Okay. So 26 and a half cents probably.
Yeah, not too
Yeah.
bad.
No. So yeah, well,
Yeah.
I hope that resistance level just strikes out. I mean, oh, really,
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
let me go
Yeah.
back a year and see what we got. Yeah, it started right here in December, basically. Uh,
Yeah.
but nice run.
Yeah. Looks like Berkshire had a big tail yesterday.
Yeah, let's take a look. Ooh, look at that. Yeah, boy, someone could have got a pretty good deal on that. But
Excited.
boy, look at these
Yeah.
lower lows, lower lows, lower highs.
Yeah.
Interesting. That went all the way down to low 464.01 and closed at 475.12.
You look at where that takes you back into September of last year. That low,
Yeah. Let me go back a year here.
or it was August through the 1st of August. That
Right here. Yeah, of
yeah,
2025. Yeah. And that's
it
where it turned
right.
for the
That's
most
right.
part.
And you think about that, markets have a memory. They
Yeah.
remember that, and so you can interpret that as it dropped. Who knows what happened yesterday? They had dropped it so fast, but it remembers that as a support level.
Yep.
Um, One I bought options on here recently, which looks like I'm gonna get a little bit beaten up on, is AR, which is Ontario Resources, is a natural gas um, exploration production company, development and production and exploration. Looks to open down roughly a buck today, but hit that my 62 there, which is I think close to your 9 and 50. Is that it?
Here's my 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Here's my
getting
here's
in
my
that
50.
area, yeah, looks to open down today. Um, around 36.23, but I bought out, I think, into September, if I remember right. But this is one of those oil and gas plays. I'll post a deep dive on it today on the deep dive section of the Discord, so you can hear the sort of the research report on it as well, and gives you an idea what I was thinking there.
There's
So,
ExxonMobil. There's interesting thing about this. I mean, I'm just going to highlight it. We'll put that there, give that a little thickness. Look at that. Look where we bounced on ExxonMobil.
yeah, we're gonna open at 145 there on ExxonMobil.
Okay. Yeah, just right about there.
Yeah,
Yep. Interesting.
yeah. So, yeah, and it's probably because of the hype side of it, or the headline side of oil and gas, that relates to Iran and the U.S. issue. So, very interesting. What else? You got anything else?
Uh, no, let's see. USAR is moving. Angelo says. Let's see. USAR. Okay, what is that? US rare earth. Okay, got a lot of resistance up in there. I think, yeah, well, it's got above the 50, above the 200. Resistance right here, above, and some more
We're not
cells
seeing a
above.
chart.
Yep. Oh, sorry, guys.
There you go. Bill's about to get bent on that.
It's there, Bill. You just can't see it. Yeah. So USAR, CRML. I think Steve brought it up. Something to do with in Greenland, they got a percent ownership higher, and so this will pop up. But again, that's a unknown market condition. We've been along this line and in the 50. So you get some news out there that's unknown, you'll see this pop up potentially. I think Steve said it was coming up today. Earnings are
Maybe
still.
things are moving into a natural resource again, or
Oh,
metals or things like that.
that's in Greenland, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. You guys are quiet today. Bill, what's up? Anything? Got your mute on. There you go.
Hell, when I'm talking, actually, everything is fine.
Good.
The weather is breaking and it's an enjoyable day.
Awesome.
Wonderful. It's about time for you, huh?
Beg your pardon?
About time you got some good weather.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know where you live, but it doesn't sound like I want to live there just because of the weather.
Are you in northern Ohio?
Yes, I'm 20.
Well, we froze him now. There we go.
It's next to Toledo, Ohio.
Okay,
Okay.
I've been there. Trent came up with an idea. He's going to do a road trip, and he's going to head through, and he's going to stop by and see me. I think was the plan up through
Yeah, that's what
in
I'm
the
thinking.
Midwest. And he sent me an idea yesterday. I thought was good. If anyone's around this area, and I'm in the Lincoln Omaha area, when Trent comes through and wants to get together, we can all do that. We can plan that.
Yeah.
So if you're around the area or any other area that Trent's going to trek through, let him know where you are. But I'm in the Lincoln Omaha area of Nebraska, anywhere around there. So, and he's going to stop by, and it'd be great if someone was around and wanted to come and talk with us, that'd be awesome. So,
Yeah. So what my thinking was is I'm headed to Colorado around the 7th of May, and driving out that way. So I'll probably go uh, through Louisiana, Texas, and then up through Colorado, and then come back through I think it's I-70, isn't it?
80.
I-80 through Nebraska, come down and see Mark for a night or a day, and then head back towards probably down through probably Memphis and into Birmingham and then home. But I thought about how cool it would be like once or twice a year to do sort of a traveling road show and do a little like get together, meet up, and you have a
My
couple
dream to
hours
go to
together.
Nebraska.
What's that?
Pheasant shooting. It's my dream to go to Nebraska.
Oh my gosh, you don't
Or
dream
go
very high,
pheasant
do you,
shooting.
Angelo? You have low sense of dreams. You're welcome anytime.
Yeah. So
Go to pheasant shooting, you know?
but
Oh, what?
if I'm gonna sort of go through and see where everybody's located, and I may pick one or two places, 2 or 3 places to stop, and maybe we can put a meetup together, kind of thing. But I'll put it on the Discord and communicate that as well as here on the Morning Edge. Um, so yeah. So if you're in that path, or a group, if there's a group of people in my path, love to just to sit down and chat and maybe do some discovery kind of thing. So Julian,
Same if you like to come to Palm Beach, Florida.
Oh yeah,
I
let's go to Angelo's house.
Yes, Mar-a-Lago.
There
there
you
you
go.
go. Hey Julian.
Julian,
Hey
what you
guys, how
got?
are you? I just have a
Good.
question about the portal. So I don't know if I have the all access because I remember that you have an education section with videos to remember how Mark do the charting and all of that things. But I don't know if I am in the right one.
Are you speaking about the Discord?
No, I'm speaking about the website, the
The
best of
website.
investor. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, because I saw your message this morning on the Discord. Um, have you tried to access the website through bestofusinvestors.com?
Yes, so I get in, but it's like when I'm going to, for example, Kerry channels, right? It's like they are asking me about to unlock and to make the payment, but I already do the $60. So
Okay.
I am part of the tribe, but
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know,
no,
maybe
you
I
are.
am the wrong one.
Okay. I'll take a look here after the call, and
Okay.
I'll message you there. I think it may be just a tagging on the website of that you're a member and all that.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, and that's on my side of things. So I'll double check that here in just a minute.
Thank you, thank you, thank you,
Yeah,
guys.
sorry about that.
No, no, it's fine.
All right. All right. Well, markets are open. What are we seeing? Um, what's it? SPY is up 68 basis points, up around 106. So we're getting close to that 107 or 100, 710 mark of
Yeah.
resistance that option markets placed on SPY. A little bit of a gap there. We'll see how that ends. But we'll end it there. And we will be back here at 3 o'clock Central, 7 or 4 o'clock Eastern for Kerry's call. So that should be a good one. Please join us. We'll send out that invite hour before and then 15 minutes before as a reminder. In the meantime, have a great morning and afternoon, and we'll see you all later.
Yep.
Live loud.
Peace.
See you.
Bye guys.
Peace.
See you later, Mark.
Hey Manny, have a good weekend.
Condolences.